Welcome to a new episode of Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid Ahmed.
In this episode, I'm just going to go over some of the things coming up this end of year 2018. It is December 2018. In a few weeks, we'll have a brand new year and brand new plans. Now, I had put out a question a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I'm planning for 2019. Is it too late? And people were like, no, it's never too late. And some of them are like, I'm already planning for second quarter of 2019. I was like, wow, that's amazing. See, I've never planned too far ahead, and that's probably why I am where I am, or that's probably why I'm not where I want to be. So, planning and making goals and goal setting is some of the key things that you can absolutely do. Now, I do have goals, absolutely. And some of the milestones that I track, that I have been tracking for the past 10 years, and those milestones are pretty ridiculous. Well, coming from an Apple fanboy might not be ridiculous. It's absolutely appropriate. Some of my milestones are in line with when Apple is doing an announcement. And those are also some of the occasions that I get to chat with my good friend Muzammil. He is my cousin out in California, and anytime there's a new keynote Apple event coming on, or the new iPhone is being announced, or the WWDC is happening and they're going to have an announcement, or any event that Apple's putting together, we are kind of in tuned to it. So we get to chat with each other. I'm like, oh my God, did you see that new thing that Apple put out? I'm like, yes, I saw that new thing that Apple put out, and I'm totally blown away. It's the best thing ever that they've put out. And I'm not making fun of this because I am absolutely a huge, huge, huge Apple fan. Their products, their services, their care for their customers. Some people might say that the care for their customers is not existent, but I would say otherwise. Anyhow, Apple recently released some really amazing products, and these products are just mind-blowing. One of my favorite things about the new iPad, and I probably talked about this before, is that it now supports USB-C. And you might be thinking, why does that make a difference? And well, the iPad Pro with USB-C changes the world because now you can connect through that USB port many other peripherals. In fact, they even have dedicated um, docks because USB-C has been around for a few years. It's been shown up on Windows laptops and MacBooks, and there's absolutely ton of docks out there that connect to this USB-C port. And by connecting these docks and connecting these peripherals, you're able to extend the capability of the iPad Pro. With USB-C, you can connect a dock, which can then connect to an HDMI port. You can connect an Ethernet. You can connect USB-A products like a mouse, a keyboard. Well, Bluetooth takes care of mouse and keyboard, but the mouse doesn't matter. You have the ability to connect with additional devices such as a USB high-end microphone, which you can right now also using a adapter, a Lightning to USB adapter that I am currently using for my podcasts. One of the reasons that you don't hear a lot of noise around my conversations is because one, I use noise removal whenever there's noise. Number two, I use USB microphones that are quite close to my mouth. And in this current instance, I'm using a headset, a USB headset that connects through the USB port and the Lightning port and brings in my audio in its full glory directly to the iPad. So no analog around here. Now when I say analog, well, anytime you have a headset, a plugged in with a round cylindrical port, like 3.5 millimeter, well, that is an analog device. And not to say that this is not analog, my voice is all analog, but it is being digitally converted through the USB interface and getting added to the iPad. Now, the one thing that I've been still struggling is using the Anchor app. I absolutely love the app, but there's sometimes the audio doesn't come through, and at other times, if I'm recording a conversation, if I'm doing a podcast using the Anchor app, and the iPad goes to sleep, well, that recording sometimes turns off. And that's what happened with my last short episode, is that I was recording directly into to the Anchor app, and I wanted to get this out to you guys, announcing the two interviews that were coming up. And the second portion of the conversation that I wanted to record got cut off because one, the iPad went to sleep. And when I was like, no, and I woke it up and the recording had stopped. And then I went ahead and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just record another segment, talk about what I was talking about, and go from there. Well, at that point, something had happened, and the audio from the my headset, my USB headset, didn't come through, and I was just recording audio through the built-in microphone on the iPad. So you can really hear anything, and since I'm just talking at a normal tone instead of screaming out loud, the volume was really low, and I could have spent some time and removed the noise and boosted the volume and removed some noise some more, but I didn't want to spend that time because it was just a minute long piece. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. We'll throw in the outro. Now, some other things that I've been thinking about of asking of my awesome audience, you guys, my listeners, is that hey, if you get a chance, please go to iTunes. Please subscribe to the podcast. Um, Give it some rating, whichever you feel is appropriate. Most people say, hey, give me 5-star rating all day. Well, that's great. That's what they want. But I want the truth. I want to know if this podcast is bringing you value of any sort. Please let me know. I will totally appreciate and respond to your comments because I appreciate you guys. And another news bit is that the podcast hit 4,500 listens. That's 4,500 listens through the lifetime of the podcast. That averages somewhere around 70 some listens per episode. I know some episodes have been listened to more times than others, but just wanted to get that out there. 4,500 listens. It's not a full 5,000 yet, but that just means I need to post more and more episodes on the podcast and bring more and more value. Now, I do have 16 more interviews to edit and publish, edit and publish to the podcast, and I would love some more feedback from you guys. What do you think of the interviews so far? Are they helpful? Are you just coming here to talk about the bees? Because I have been talking about the bees on these interviews as well, because raising bees and keeping bees is an essential part of what this podcast started out as. Not just as being a hobby, but also as being a contributor to the pollinator society and helping pollinate and helping keep the greenery alive. So yeah, please, 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 please send me a note. I could be reached through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course through the website. So send in your comments, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform, and I would prefer that you leave a message or leave a review on iTunes podcast. I would absolutely appreciate it. Now, since 2019 is coming super fast, 2018 ended, well, it's ending even faster. It's crazy. I mean, what do you have planned for 2019? In 2019, I plan to be a published author. um, I'll be co-authoring a book called The Magnetic Entrepreneur. I will also be in a second book called The Insights to Success. That's not the exact title, but um, The Magnetic Entrepreneur is the first one. I've got the draft ready, and I've got to go through the draft and come up with version 1 and version 2 of the chapter that I'm writing in the book, and I'll absolutely appreciate any support that you can bring to the podcast. Now, this podcast is published on Anchor, and you've probably heard some of the sponsored messages. One sponsor that I love is Flipboard. They've been bringing some amazing content through their application, Flipboard app, available on all of the devices that you can imagine. News in its best format. And Anchor for providing this amazing platform for creating podcasts. So if you're looking to start a podcast, check out my episode on how to start a podcast or reach out to me. I will be happy to help you to start a podcast. Some of the other things that I've been helping others, my friends, is one of my friends is actually writing a children's book, and I helped her figure out the ropes. We've set up her website, and we'll be setting up the social media for the book as well to get connected with the audience who might be interested in checking out this amazing children's book. Some other areas that I help is people looking to get their websites started. I recommend using WordPress on a host or a WordPress dedicated host. Even if you're looking to set up on WordPress.com, that's another amazing place to start. I know a lot of people talk about Wix, a lot of people talk about Squarespace. Those are great platforms, and the reason we know about them is because of all of the advertisement they do on the television, on YouTube. But a much more powerful platform and all hands down is WordPress.com and WordPress.org's open source WordPress application. Some of the amazing websites that run on WordPress is New York Times. New York Times runs on WordPress. XKCD, the blog, and the and a lot of the amazing websites that you visit on a daily basis are running on WordPress.com. In fact, almost 40% of the World Wide Web, maybe more, I believe, run on WordPress.com or WordPress.org website content management system. Now, WordPress started as a blog platform, but that was 15 plus years ago. And they've come a long way, and they've got some really powerful tools and plugins available that you can go in and customize your website to your heart's content. You can build in a community, you can build in membership, you can build in a e-commerce site, you can build in so many amazing things with WordPress.com and WordPress.org CMS. So, just a little heads up on some of the things that I use myself personally and what I recommend for you guys. So you might be thinking, hey, where do I go to find a host? Well, one of the best hosts that I've been using for the past 15 years is DreamHost. They've got a data center in the West Coast, on the East Coast. They've got some amazing products. And if you're interested in signing up with DreamHost, check out the link in the show notes and you can get in on dreamhost.com. So these are just some of the things that I absolutely love. I have been using, and they provide excellent support in any way, shape, or form that you're looking for. Again, if you need any help, you can always reach out to me at Hacks and Hobbies on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can find us. Again, open door policy. Please send a message, and I'll be happy to help you out. So, talking about goals, we talked about Apple. We talked about following that as a platform and setting up my goals. Another way that I've set goals and followed or had milestones in my life is, of course, birthdays and anniversaries. I mean, I'm a huge number and date geek, but Marvel's introduction to Iron Man, and I've talked about this before, and if I haven't, it was probably on Facebook Live. But Marvel's introduction with Iron Man just totally blew the doors off of everybody's door homes and be like, whoo! Right. So they recently released the 2019 Avengers Endgame trailer. That trailer was friggin' amazing. And one of the things that was hilarious is that at the release of that trailer, NASA sent a tweet to Marvel saying, hey guys, just so you know, we're scanning the skies to look for Tony because Tony is out there stranded. He's got a days of oxygen left. All the food's ran out. So let's scan the skies and save Tony because we need our Tony Stark. We need our Iron Man to save the day. So that tweet was just amazing and awesome, and I am so looking forward to Avengers Endgame. Of course, before that we have another movie to look forward to, and that's Captain Marvel. Ant-Man and the Wasp was amazing. The end of the movie was just mind-blowing. And now that we have Captain Marvel coming, which is going to be set in the past, and then we'll have Endgame coming. And the other thing that's happened because of all of this crazy setup of the movies is that we haven't seen any Marvel's Agents of Shield in a long time. It's because they're also waiting on the Endgame. Once the Endgame movie drops, we know exactly what's happening, how everything comes together, and then I'm hoping Agents of Shield comes back and other Marvel movie TV series that have been on a pause also come back. In other news, Netflix has decided to drop all of the TV shows that they were working together with Marvel, and that we haven't heard about Jessica Jones yet, but we have heard about Iron Fist being dropped, Luke Cage being dropped, and recently Daredevil being dropped. Well, they're already done with the seasons that they had planned on building, right? So we have 3 seasons of Daredevil, we have 2 seasons of Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and we have 2 seasons of Jessica Jones. I'm sure they've already announced if they've dropped Jessica Jones or not, but that was probably the contract with Marvel. And Disney planning on bringing their own uh, streaming service out, just like DC has probably something to do with this. So if we're afraid that, these shows are not going to come back, don't be, because they will be coming back either on ABC or on this brand new streaming network where maybe it's going to be a short film. Maybe it's going to be a mini series where they bring these characters together as the Defenders, and maybe they might show up on Avengers Endgame because who knows, right? All of these seasons are ending because the end game is going to bring them all together somehow. I mean, that has to be it. I haven't been following the forums, I haven't been listening to anybody else about what
What
they're
it's gonna
talking
be.
about, but that on what a thought process. That is what I'm thinking is going to happen with Avengers and all of the Marvel properties, um, TV series and movies coming forward. And after Endgame, it's going to be a brand new Phase 4, right? They'll need to either assemble a brand new Avengers team or it's gonna be a wild card. We don't know what's gonna be, right? So totally psyched about that, and we'll get to find out about all of this towards the end of April. And that's another cool thing that I discovered is instead of May 4th, it's now going to be April 26th when Endgame is dropping. So for the past 10 years, I've been following and keeping milestones other people's goals, like Apple and Marvel, my two favorite teams and favorite groups. Anyways, that's all my rambling. This podcast will be bringing some more episodes of interviews this week. I have some awesome guests that I got to speak with uh, past couple of months, and those episodes, those interviews will be coming online. Some of the new interviews that I'm signing up with, my sister, who is an amazing doctor, has shown interest, and she's like, I would like to come interview on your podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. And my cousin, who did a Super Bowl commercial for LinkedIn, is going to be one of my guests as well. So looking forward to speaking with them and bringing to you all of these amazing podcast episodes. Thank you again for listening. Thank you so much for your support, your time, your love, and please go out there and tell your friends and family about this podcast and what you like about it. And please tell me about what you think of the podcast. Again, thank you so much. Have an amazing day. Live long and prosper.